Hello everybody and welcome back to Let's Play Star Trek Online. This is the Doctor, and finally we are here to look at our final Odyssey cruiser, the Odyssey Tactical. I've already looked at the Odyssey Operations Cruiser and the Odyssey Science Cruiser. I will put links in the videos so that you can go see those videos if you have not seen those yet. I recommend watching the Odyssey Operations Cruiser video first, as I go into great detail in the introduction of that video about the three Odyssey ships themselves. So this will be our last series of videos for the Odyssey Cruiser set for right now. And I'm ending with the Tactical Cruiser, which has been a little bit difficult for me to make a really good build with. And it's kind of a weird combination to have a cruiser with beam weapons but tactically focused. I'm finding that to be a difficult build to work with, because as a tactical character you have better abilities with escorts firing cannons, and cannons, like dual heavy cannons, do a lot more damage anyway. And so if you're a tactical character, you really want to fire cannons more than you want to fire beams. Beams are not as good. And that's the problem, is that this ship, the Tactical Odyssey, fires beams, not cannons. So as a tactical character, you're stuck firing beams, and that's not optimal. But before we get into all that and look at the build of this ship, let's go over what makes this ship unique compared to the others. We don't need to read this stuff here. Most of this is the same for the others except this part. See, the Odyssey Tactical Cruiser improves on the base Odyssey Star Cruiser design with improved tactical capabilities intended for the most difficult of missions. Okay. The Odyssey Tactical Cruiser features an Aquarius Escort Universal Console module. This console allows you to separate the aft mission pod of your starship, which will deploy an Aquarius Escort. The Aquarius is a small attack craft that will follow the Odyssey Tactical Cruiser and attack your targets. The Aquarius Escort Universal Console module may be equipped on any of the Odysseys, and it may not be equipped on the standard Odyssey. And of course I have all three Odysseys, so we have access to all three consoles which I have on this ship, so that we can get the full benefit that the Odyssey as a whole package gives you. So here's the specs: 2,500 crew, 444 aft, device slots for 1 lieutenant tactical. And you see this again, just like the science ship, where the science ship did not have a commander science position for the bridge officer, the Tactical Odyssey also does not have a commander tactical station. It's got a commander engineering. So it's got a lieutenant tactical, and then what it also has is the lieutenant commander universal slot. So that's where you will want to put your tactical officer, and then also have a lieutenant tactical. And you could even use the Ensign Universal for another tactical or whatever else. So this, again, not really getting the full benefits of a tactical character and a tactical ship, because it lacks the commander bridge officer station for tactical, just like it lacked the commander science. And that just limits you in your powers. It's going to limit you in tier 3 powers specifically, because on a ship like this, you're going to, you would want, or as a tactical character, you would want those high-end tactical abilities, those tier 3 abilities. Well, you're not going to be able to have some of those with this ship, because it just doesn't have that bridge officer station. It's more heavy on engineering, even though it's a tactical ship. 42,000 hull strength. One of the good things about it is that as a tactical ship, it's pretty beefy. 42,000 hull. It's like a cruiser, so you're going to get that tankiness, whereas most escorts are like flying paper or flying glass. Sometimes they're called glass ships because they break so easily. This won't, because it's got a 42,000 hull strength. It also has a 1.15 shield modifier to give you a little bit higher shield capacity as well. However, you are going to lose speed. Escorts are fast, they're maneuverable, they weave around everywhere. This is a 6 degree per second turn rate. This is a slow ship. Now, because it's a tactical oriented though, it does give you plus 10 to power, plus 10 power to weapons, and plus 5 power to shields and auxiliary. Not sure how much the auxiliary helps you here with this ship, but the plus 5 power to shields is nice. And of course, the Aquarius Escort is part of the package. It's the universal console you get. So if you got only this ship, that's all you would have is that Aquarius Escort. But if you have all three, then you can put all three consoles on this one ship like I've done, and that way I can show you the complete package. Now, because it's a cruiser, you still got the cruiser communications array abilities. You're going to get the strategic maneuvering command, shield frequency modulation, weapon system efficiency, and attract fire command. Those are cruiser abilities, and yet you're going to have that on this tactical, quote, oriented ship. So that's the Tactical Odyssey in a nutshell. A bit of a conundrum in how to build this thing. Very, very odd, in my opinion. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring up my... first of all, before we go into all that, I'm on my tactical character. This is the Valiant Doctor. You have not seen him much. I have not used him in many videos. I have used him in some videos in the past, not a lot. He is my primary tactical character. However, I have kind of put him on the side a bit. I haven't really focused on him much. I've been working so much with my other characters and using them to show you guys ships. I haven't put much focus on this guy, so he doesn't have a lot of stuff that some of my other characters have access to. So that has overall limited me in what I'm able to put on my Tactical Odyssey. However, I needed to use him because he is my tactical character, and I want to get the most and best out of the Tactical Odyssey, and so that's going to mean putting it on a tactical character. It would make no sense to put this on my engineer or science character. So I want to get the best that I can out of this ship tactically using tactical powers, and so hence this is my tactical character. He just doesn't have as much gear available to him as some of my other characters. I will just give you a quick overview of what he does have. He is at Tier 5 Omega, Tier 5 New Kara, Tier 5 New Romulus, Tier 5 Dyson, only Tier 3 Counter Command 8472. So he is Tier 5 on most of the reputations, but he still doesn't have a lot of gear from those reputations. I basically just leveled him to Tier 5 and then really didn't purchase anything else. Also, because he's my tactical character, before this ship, I was running the Andorian Kumari, not really the Kumari, one of the Kumari variants. And it's an Andorian ship, and it's cannons. This character, I created to fire cannons. So that's all he had available to him when I equipped this Tactical Odyssey. All he had was cannons. I had no beam weapons at all on this character when I equipped this thing. And that is why it has taken me so long from equipping the Odyssey to getting a video out to you now about it. It's because I have had to actually grind a lot on this character to get beam weapons, to get equipment, to get things that I did not have to make the Tactical Odyssey viable on this character. This character was totally built for cannons. All his bridge officer abilities were cannon rapid fire, cannon scatter volley. All his bridge officer abilities were built toward cannons. So I had no beam abilities. I had nothing that really fit this ship very well. This character flew all escorts. That's all he ever flew, and that's kind of what he was built for. So I'm going to bring up my ship build menu right now, and we're going to go through how I have equipped this Tactical Odyssey. But keep in mind as you read it, this is not my optimal, most efficient build that I would ultimately have on this ship. This is not the best. This is simply what I was just able to get in the last few weeks so that I can make a video for you guys. To really build this character or build this ship the way I would want to do it in the long term would take me several months of grinding and getting gear and just, totally redoing this whole character to fly this ship. That would take too long, and maybe in the future I will revisit this ship after I've done all that, but right now I just didn't have the time to do all that. So when you look at this build, it's not the most optimal build. I get it. I agree with you. It's not what I would use in the long term. However, it's not terrible, and actually it's been working out kind of well. Kind of well. And I'll go into that, what I mean by that. But let's just do it. I'm going to bring it up. Gawks aside, here we go. There it is. That is my tactical Odyssey build right now. This is the War TARDIS. This is the Odyssey Tactical Cruiser. And I have built it with beams. Again, I don't have the ultimate gear that I would want, and I would really want fleet weapons, fleet beam weapons, because those are going to be more DPS, more damage than what I have on here now. But I would have to grind fleet marks and dilithium and all of that to get fleet weapons, so I don't have that. I would also probably go anti-proton on this ship. I would probably do an anti-proton build, fleet level weapons, and fleet level consoles, especially the tactical consoles. I would go with the fleet spire consoles. So there's a lot of room for improvement here. I just wasn't able to do that right now. So here's what I got. Here's what I was able to do. I actually went the Dyson route on this ship. I went with the Dyson reputation, used the Dyson store to buy these beam weapons you see, and use some of the Dyson reputation gear, because I already actually had some of that I was working on, and I just went ahead, and that's the way I went with it. It just seemed to allow. What it was is I had a lot of Dyson marks, because I had done a lot of Dyson grinding on this recently. I had a lot of Dyson marks that I was able to use to get the gear. And it was just much easier for me to go that route than to go something different or some other energy type. So what I'm using, let's start with the beam weapons. I'm using the Protonic Polaron. So protonic weapons, not the best in the game. Not that you can't really buff them. You can buff them, but not as much as other energy types like let's say anti-proton. So this is Protonic Polaron. They're hybrid weapons. They're doing Polaron damage and protonic damage. This is again from the Dyson reputation. These were bought with dilithium, straight up, and I got the two modifiers, accuracy and damage. So at least they're Mark 12, and at least they're very rare, and at least they have two good modifiers, accuracy and damage. And that's the best I can do for right now. Ultimately, like I said, I would want fleet level beams, but for right now, this works. So this is the build I went with. I put 3 in the aft weapon slot, because that's just what you do with this ship. It's a beam ship, even though it's on a tactical character. The kinetic cutting beam, I never leave home without it. 360 degree, so even if I'm firing forward, to the side, or to the rear, this kinetic cutting beam is helping, and it actually does a lot of DPS. It actually does more DPS than these beams. So this is good. Now on the front, this is where it gets interesting, or the 4 weapons here. I did decide to go with a dual beam bank on front. I wanted 1 dual beam bank, so that way when I'm shooting from the front of the ship, I get more punch. I get even more damage with that dual beam bank than I would with just 1 single beam bank. And I'm able to do that because I have geared this ship to turn fast and to move fast. I'm going to go into that in the future. But this ship, similar to an escort, you would want an escort to move fast on a tactical character. So this ship, I have built it to move fast. And so I'm going to be able to turn my front, sort of forward weapons to my enemy often and fire them. And so I got the dual beam bank and then a single beam. I went ahead and put the experimental proton weapon on. It's got a wider arc than the dual beam bank, but a narrower arc than the single beam. It's got a 180 degree targeting arc. But this weapon, what it allows is flexibility, because with the 2-set bonus, I'm able to use fire at will with this weapon. So it gives me some flexibility and gives me some set bonuses, some set powers that I wanted to incorporate into this ship, since that's what I went with. And I'm using the gravimetric photon torpedo also from the Dyson set. So so I have 2 of those, and then this is actually a 3-piece set. It's called Protonic Arsenal. So to improve my protonic abilities as best as possible and give me the most protonic damage, I also added the Universal Proton Particle Stabilizer, which is also part of that set. It's a 3-piece set, so it's this console and then these 2 weapons, and that's a complete 3-piece set. The 2-piece bonus is called Arsenal Synergy. It's going to give me plus 22.9% photon projectile weapon damage. So my photon gravimetric photon torpedo that I'm using is going to have more damage with this set 2 bonus active, because I have at least 2 of these pieces. So more photon damage right there from the torpedo. That's good. I want more damage. This character is tactical. He's built for complete damage, annihilation, not for tanking, just complete annihilation. I want the most damage out of him. This also increases my critical chance, just flat out critical chance of all my weapons. And it enables the usage of fire at will with the experimental proton weapon. But to go further, I also have 3 of these pieces. I got 1, 2, 3. So I'm getting the set 3 bonus called Particle Stabilizers. This is again increasing my critical chance with photon projectile weapons, plus 10%, and giving me a plus 10% critical severity with all my weapons. And it does enable the use of cannon rapid fire with the proton weapon, but I'm not using cannon rapid fire because I don't have cannons. So what I'm benefiting from here is the critical chance with the photon torpedo, and then the critical severity with my weapons. So as you can see, this is all about increasing critical chance, critical severity, doing more photon damage, basically just doing more damage. But it goes even further than that, because this console itself gives the ability of plus 13.1% proton weapon damage. So just by putting this console on, my proton weapon damage is increased. So that's what I was looking for. How can I improve my proton damage now that I'm using protonic polaron weapons? How can I improve that protonic damage? And you do that by using this console from the Dyson reputation. Put this on, you've got more proton weapon damage right there. Plus, it does other things, and this is important for an escort or a tactical ship. Plus 3 weapon power and plus 3 engine power. So flat out, I got a little bit higher weapon power and a little bit higher engine power with this console. That engine power is going to make my ship move faster, and that's going to be advantageous. The faster I move, the more defense, more bonus defense that I have on my ship. So as a tactical character, you want to move your ship a lot and fire. I'm going to be able to move faster with this console, with this ship. This also improves power transfer rate. Because I'm using all beams, power transfer rate is extremely important, and I want to keep my power levels as high as possible all the time so I can do the most damage as a tactical character. So if I can improve power transfer rate, I'm all for that. So that does that too. So this turns out to be a great console for an escort or for a tactical character. And even though it's a cruiser on a tactical character, it's still really good for that. So I have the 3-piece bonus from those 3 things. So that was my way to improve my protonic weaponry as best as I can, get a little more weapon power, a little more engine power. Now here's where it becomes really confusing, is the deflector, the impulse, the warp core, and the shields. Let's start with the warp core. That's the least confusing. I went with, and I really had a hard time deciding what kind of warp core to go with. I ended up with the Fleet Spire warp core. I went with an Elite Fleet Plasma Integrated Warp Core. It's got EFF, Weapons to Engines, Weapons Cap, AMP, and SSR. All of these modifiers I chose specifically, except for SSR, I could do without that. But all the other modifiers I chose specifically for this ship. So remember, I was just talking about power levels. I want to keep the power levels as high as possible on this ship, with as least power drain as possible, and as fast of a power regeneration as I can get, because I'm firing all beams. But yet I'm a tactical character, and to do damage I need to keep that going a lot, really, really high. So with this Plasma Integrated Warp Core, that's the basis of this Warp Core. It's got two abilities that make this worthwhile for a beam type of ship, or a ship that's going to drain a lot of power. The first one is a plus 10% increase to the base resistance rate of all power levels. So I have a 10% increase to the resistance of my power levels. Then on top of that, I've got a plus 66% increase to base regeneration rate of power levels. That means my power levels, when they come back from being low to high, that regeneration rate is increased by 66% with this Warp Core. That means my power levels are going to come back really fast. That's what I want, and that's what I need on a ship like this, especially a tactical ship where I want to do the most damage I can with beams. And the only way to do the most damage that you can with beams is to have that power level, weapon power, as high as you can at all times, maxed out completely. And that's the only way that you can get better DPS with beam weapons. So that's why I chose this Warp Core, specifically for those two features. But then I always have to have AMP. AMP is a modifier on a Warp Core I cannot do without, and again on a tactical character makes sense. AMP is plus 3.3% all damage for each subsystem with 75 or more power. So with each subsystem that has 75 or more power, I'm going to get plus 3.3% all damage for all my weapons. So again, as a tactical character, I want to do as much damage as I can. That's another way just to increase my damage a little bit more. It's not a lot, but it's a little bit. It's something. It adds to it. The other ones were important as well. Weapons to engines. This one I could have done like auxiliary to weapons or something like that, but my weapon power is already maxed at 125. So what I wanted to do is instead increase my engine power, and that's going to allow my ship to move faster and give me a better defense on my ship, but also just to move faster as a tactical character. So the weapons to engines is add 7.5% of your weapons power to your engine power as bonus power. So my engine power is going to be even higher now, in addition to what I already had with that console. So again, moving faster, that's good. And then the other one is a weapon power buff. If I needed a boost to my weapon power because it got low or something, this gives a plus 15 weapon power setting for 10 seconds, and it also repairs disabled weapon systems. And it's a button, and all I gotta do is press it, and excuse me, and bam, there it is. So all of that for the Warp Core I chose specifically for this ship, and I think that fits it really well. There are many different ways that I could have gone though with this Warp Core. There are Warp Cores that would boost engine power even more, Warp Cores that could boost weapon power even more, but I felt that this Fleet Plasma Integrated Warp Core was the best way. The resistance and the regeneration rate on the power levels is going to be more important to me. Plus, I always have to have AMP. Love AMP. Alright, so that's the Warp Core. That's the easy part. Now we come to the deflector, impulse, and the shields. That's the hard part, and that's what I wish I had better gear with. I asked in Zone, and I know it's dangerous sometimes, but I asked in Zone on ESD, what is the best deflector, impulse, and shields for a tactical cruiser flying on a tactical character? Because it's an odd thing, right? It's an odd situation. Usually on an escort, usually you will want a shield that is a resilient shield or just a regular shield. You normally do not put a covariant shield on an escort. And the reason is, on an escort, you want that 5% bleed through. You don't want that 10%. The 10% on the covariant is bad. You want the 5%. 5% absorption, 5% bleed through. Also, you want a faster healing shield on an escort, because an escort is kind of like you go in fast, you shoot, and you pull out. And then as you pull out, you want your shields to heal really fast. So on an escort, you typically go more for the resilient shields or the standard shield rather than covariant. But this is not an escort. This is a cruiser. It moves and turns slow. If you put a resilient shield on this thing, it's going to crap out on you very fast. You're going to blow up. This ship demands, in my opinion, a covariant type shield. It demands a high capacity shield, even if it's going to have that high 10% bleed through. It still demands high capacity because it's slow moving. It's not going to fly in, shoot the enemy, destroy him, and fly out. This ship, you're going to fly in, you're going to shoot the enemy, you're going to stay there a while, then you're going to fly out. So if you're going to stay there a while, you need a higher shield capacity for this ship. And it's not because it has nothing to do with the career. It's simply because it's a type of ship that it is. It's a cruiser. It's not an escort. Even though it has some abilities that lean toward tactical, it's still a cruiser at heart. You have to treat it as a cruiser. You cannot treat it as an escort. It will not work. So, for a shield, I think you're really only left with two good options. And that is to, well, number one, find the highest shield capacity, but that could be in two different forms. You could go with the adapted Mako shield, which I have on here right now, which, as you can see, has a very high shield capacity, 9696. That is a very high shield capacity, even though it's got a low regeneration rate and the 10% bleed through. If you're going to be fighting a lot of Borg, though, this also reduces plasma damage by 20%. So if you're fighting a lot of Borg, this ship is good. I mean, the shield is good for that. However, another option you could do would be a fleet shield. You could go with an elite fleet shield. Now, those don't have as much capacity as the adapted Mako does. Those are not as much. Those are about... where this is 9,696, I think the fleet shield, when I compared it, was about 9,000. So it's about 700 capacity less for a fleet shield. But fleet shields have a unique ability, and that is that they will resist any damage type, and that resistance will stack on the fleet shields. So fleet shields are another very good alternative for this ship. But I don't have the fleet shield to use or to compare performance and all that with. But I did have the adapted Mako already, and since in the next video I will be doing all Borg, I'm going to go ahead and keep this shield because it still has the highest capacity, and it's got that 20% resist to plasma, which is going to help me with the Borg. So I will use this shield for the Borg, but if I were to make a long-term build on this ship, I would probably go with the elite fleet shield. So that the shield, that's kind of simple in my opinion as well, because you kind of you know you're going to have a high capacity shield for a cruiser. But now the deflector and impulse. The person that that gave me information about the deflector, impulse, and shield for this type of ship, they recommended an odd combination, but they said that they have got good damage from this combination. So I'm trying it, only because I have nothing else to try. Honestly, I have nothing else gooder, nothing better to try. So this is interesting. Watch this. The impulse engine. Yes, I am using a Romulan Advanced Prototype Impulse Engine Mark 12. This is from the new Romulus Reputation. You have to do the Reputation. You know, you put this in there, you slot it, you get this this engine. Why this engine? Well, look at the first thing that it does. It improves attack pattern abilities, plus 26.2 Starship attack pattern. Well, I'm a tactical character. I'm flying a tactically inclined ship. I'm going to be using attack patterns, and in fact, I'll be using attack pattern alpha and attack pattern beta. So, this engine actually improves attack pattern abilities, and that's a tactical thing. And I think that's a big reason why that person recommended this engine, is because if you're using a lot of attack pattern abilities like a tactical character would, attack pattern is very big on a tactical character, this engine is going to improve your attack pattern abilities. And it's like it's unique in that it does that. So that's a benefit for using this engine. It also has some other benefits. It's got a plus 4.5 flight turn rate. It increases your flight turn rate. That's going to be important on a cruiser. It also, you got a plus 15 flight speed and a pretty high all power to engines full impulse speed. So, in all, it's got a pretty fast flight speed, a pretty fast impulse. It's going to give you better turn rate, and it's going to improve attack pattern abilities. Sounds like a win to me, so I'm trying it. Next is the deflector. This one's really interesting. This is a counter command deflector array Mark 12. This is from the species 8472 counter command reputation. Now I'm only tier 3 in that reputation, but that worked out just fine. I was able to get this deflector at tier 3, thankfully. So again, just like any reputation, you slot the thing, you put all your stuff in, and then you get this deflector. So why this deflector? Well, first of all, it improves your accuracy. Accuracy is going to be very important for doing damage. It also improves energy weapon damage, starship energy weapon training. So this is I don't know of any other deflector that improves starship energy weapon training. This is probably the only one that I know of. And that starship energy weapon training improves your energy weapon damage. So again, improving my energy weapon damage on my ship even more, which is what I want as a tactical character. I want to just decimate the enemy. It also improves projectile weapon training. That improves your kinetic weapon damage with my photon torpedo or my gravimetric torpedo. So here is a deflector that improves your accuracy, improves your energy weapon damage, and improves your photon weapon damage. Holy crap, that's awesome. At the same time, it's going to give you some higher ship hit points or health points. That's basically your hull strength. It's also going to improve shield hit points or the capacity of your shields. Now, there are deflectors that have higher stats. For example, the Solanae deflector has a plus 35 starship structural integrity. So that one improves your ship hit points even more, but it doesn't have the energy weapon damage or the kinetic weapon damage buffs. This deflector also resists hold, disable, knock, repel, and slow, and it also improves exotic damage. Exotic damage is not really going to benefit me here, but it's there anyway. So this is probably the largest mix match of deflector, impulse, and shields that I've ever used or had on a ship. I'm not getting any set bonuses with these. No set 2, no set 3, no set 4 bonus. Instead, I'm using the raw features of each console, basically, to benefit from those abilities. It's a unique setup. It's weird, but it kind of works. So, now what I would do in the long term is I would probably invest in getting the Dyson, the complete Dyson set. I do have the Dyson Field Stabilizing Warp Core from the Dyson reputation, but what I don't have is the Dyson Deflector and Impulse and Shield. I might toy with putting the Dyson deflector, impulse, and shield on here and getting the full benefit of that, because it also has some abilities that are nice, like the set 2 bonus, resist, hold, disable, knock, repel, resist, shield drain, and energy drain. The set 3 bonus gives you a proton barrage, and I'm using protonic weapons, so this would actually be a nice ability that if I had this set to add to this to give me more proton weaponry kind of stuff. And then if you have all 4 pieces, which includes a warp core, you get this reactive shielding, which would be really nice, and I really want that. So in the long term, I would invest myself personally in grinding for the Dyson deflector, impulse, and shield, and then put all 4 Dyson pieces on here, and I think that would rock too. But I don't have those right now, so I'll do without. I have the board console that goes with the kinetic cutting beam to give me the Omega weapon amplifier. I have my EPs to do the power transfer rate. Again, that's very important. I also put on, I had a choice actually. I have a RCS accelerator. I've got the fleet version, Mark 12, and this improves my flight turn rate by plus 42.5, so that would really improve the flight turn rate. It would also give me kinetic damage resistance and all energy damage resistance, so that is an option. I also have the other one, the neutronium alloy, which gives me more ship hit points and gives me more kinetic damage and more all energy damage resistance. I kind of played around with using either one of these to see if I could do without them or if one was better than the other. I ended up putting the tachyonetic converter back on here instead. Now this will increase my flight turn rate plus 22.9. It's not as much as this one, which is plus 42.5. Still, it's increasing my flight turn rate. But really, the reason why I put this on here is to get my critical chance and critical severity even higher. So as you can see, it adds critical chance, it adds critical severity to my weapons. Could I do without this? Yeah, I could use the RCS accelerator, get an even better turn rate, or I could use the neutronium, get even better resistance on my ship. But I figured, okay, I have an engineering character. I have used the engineering Odyssey. Operations Odyssey. In that ship, I built that ship for tanking. I built it to just max out tanking, right? And for that I used neutronium, and I also did that on the science ship. So I thought, let's do something different on the tactical. Instead of building this ship to tank, which we know escorts aren't built to do anyway, and this ship is going to be better than an escort at its base level anyway, let's do without all those resists. I mean, even though it would help me, let's do without that. And let's add everything to the ship that's going to give me damage, going to give me power, and going to give me punch, going to allow me to just kill the enemy with one shot. Let's focus on that with this ship, and let's not worry about resistance. Let's not worry about tank. Let's not worry about the hull strength and the shield strength as much. Let's work on damage, and that's the focus of this ship. At least that's where I put it. For the tactical consoles, again, I'm using the Dyson store for this, and I'm using the only thing that I can use for protonic weapons, and that is this console tactical auto-targeting module Mark 12 plus pole for Polaron. This is going to give me plus 20% Polaron damage, which my weapons are, again, they're doing at their base, they're doing Polaron damage. And then it's also going to give me proton weapon damage plus 15%. But in addition, I love these consoles because they add plus 2.5% accuracy on each one. And again, for damage, I maxed out my tactical consoles. I was like, let's forget, putting any. Let's leave all the excuse me. Let's leave all the tactical consoles empty, so that I can fill them with buffs here for damage. Now, that's not going to be as much damage as a Fleet Spire tactical console would give you, but it's the best you can do with protonic weapons. And then, of course, we have the 3 sets from the 3 Odysseys. We have the Chevron separation. We can separate the ship. We have the Worker Bees, and we have our Aquarius. And because we have all 3 of these, we have the Set 2 and Set 3 bonus. Set 2 is enhanced engineering systems, a little bit better turn rate, hull plating, kinetic damage, power transfer rate, and then the advanced chevron separation is going to allow our saucer to do worker bees and gravity well 3. So that's it. That's my build. It's crazy, I know it, but I think it's kind of neat in a way. It's different for sure. For my powers, this is where it got interesting. I don't have, as I said, a commander tactical bridge officer station. No commander tactical bridge officer station. So what am I stuck with? I'm stuck with lieutenant commander as my highest ability. So what did I put? Well, I'm firing beams, so let's do fire at will 3. That is a tier 3 ability. It's the only one I can use, but let's do it. So I got beam fire at will 3. And then I got a torpedo high yield 2. So I can do some damage with my torpedo. Tactical team 1. Now, to give this ship the most tactical abilities that I can, I went ahead and used the Ensign Universal Station for a tactical, and I used the, obviously you have to use the Lieutenant Tactical Station as a tactical. So I got 3 tactical bridge officers, only 1 engineering, only 1 science. I'm trying to give this ship as best a chance as I can as a tactical ship. And so, there you go. I went with Beam Overload 1 as an ensign power, just to have it, play around with it. I added an attack pattern. Attack patterns are very important if you're on a tactical ship, especially an escort. Attack patterns are what you want to use a lot. So I did attack pattern beta 1, and then I just added target shield subsystem so I can bring down shields faster, which actually ends up working kind of well. Now, I have to have a commander engineering station. I have no choice. Aceton Beam 3 is what I went with. Directed Energy Modulation 2. Engineering Team 2. Emergency Power Weapons 1. And then you only get 2 Science abilities, Hazard Emitters, and Science Team. And that's my build. That's it in a nutshell. Now these 3, they're named differently because these 3 are efficient Saurians, just so that it hasn't been showing the passives. Yeah, see, for some reason I think there's a bug. It's not showing the passives. But these 3 characters are efficient Saurians to increase my power levels even more. The Lib Borg also has efficient. It also increases power levels. I unfortunately do not have an efficient Saurian for my science station. I don't have the energy credits right now to get one, but that would be an upgrade I would make in the future, is to replace my science officer with a an efficient Saurian. Alright, let's go over my traits. Also, people ask about that, what traits I'm using. I chose these traits specifically for this character. No resistance stuff. It's really all about doing damage. My personal traits for space: last ditch effort. Space trait doubles the amount of damage resistance that your outgoing weapon attacks grant you while under the effects of go down fighting. This damage resistance increase stacks up to 3 times. Warp Theorist for improving power levels and transfer rate. Efficient Captain for improving power levels. Crippling Fire, space trait. This trait causes all of your critical hits with attacks to reduce your target's accuracy by a moderate amount. And then Accuracy, to just improve my accuracy on my ship even more. Those are my space abilities. For space reputation abilities, I've got the Nukara ability, Auxiliary Power Configuration Offense. It doesn't show the values here, but in space it will. This is going to give me more damage, basically, more accuracy, just better. We'll look at it in space. You can see the stats. I also added the Borg 1 Omega Graviton Amplifier. This is going to give kinetic damage with 100% shield penetration on directed energy attacks. Double damage versus Borg. 5% chance to trigger on torpedo and mine attacks. I went with this Romulan ability called Precision. This is going to give me a higher critical hit chance. And then this one is from the Voth, is going to give me a higher critical severity. Bam. I'm all about tactical. Tactical for the win. Let's go to space, take a look at this. You've already seen what the Odyssey looks like on my other 2 videos. I'm not going to go into great detail, but it looks just like the others. The Mako shield effects, of course, make it shiny and blue. This green thing is my counter command deflector. And then the Romulan engines claim that it has a visual effect, but I don't see a visual effect with the Romulan engines. And so now that we're in space, we can look at these stats. This one gives plus 2.6% all damage based on auxiliary power level and plus 2.6% accuracy based on auxiliary power level. Not a lot, but it's something. I'll take it. And here's the stats on this one now. 751 kinetic damage. We already saw those. So that's what that does. So that's where everything's at. Now let's look at my power levels. My guys are coming back online from a recent battle I just did. But my power levels, you see, I'm maxed at 125 on weapons. That's good. My shields are pretty high at 78. Engine, 69. Very high engine power. And you'll notice I did that on purpose. I want to move fast. 51 auxiliary. I don't really care about auxiliary. But those are my levels. Now, if I got that one efficient Saurian for my science character, one of these would increase by 1 power level. I don't know which one, but that would help a little bit too, so I want to get that. Here's the synergy amp from the warp core, enhanced engineering systems from all 3 pieces on the Odyssey, command weapon system efficiency. Remember, it's a cruiser, so you have the weapon system efficiency, you've got the shield frequency modulation, you got strategic maneuvering, and then a 4th one, which I don't really use, is the attract fire. But it's there. Worker bees, just like the other ships, I'll continue to use those as much as possible. The Aquarius. And then when we recall it, we can do chevron separation. Here's my attack patterns, and here's why these are useful. This is attack pattern alpha 3. This gives you plus 54% all damage for 30 seconds, plus 5.4% critical chance for 30 seconds, a plus 54% critical severity for 30 seconds, and a plus 130 flight turn rate for 30 seconds. That's attack pattern alpha 3, awesome. And then the beta adds the following to all weapons for 10 seconds. To target, minus 32.5 all damage resistance rating for 5 seconds. To target, minus 130 stealth. I have subsystems for shields. Torpedo high yield 2. Beam overload. My fire at will 3. This is the warp core ability. This is the plus 15 weapon power setting. Weapons capacitor. Or weapons capacitor. Chevron separation. So that's my build on this ship. We'll look at my stats here when this all comes back together. Okay. These guys are still coming back. Hurry up. Okay, so here's what I got. 50% crew recovery rate. Alive crew are coming back online. 325% power transfer rate. All that stuff to increase power transfer rate that we went over. Cut it up to 325%. That is high, my friends. Defense. Now, my hull is not as high as my other Odysseys were on the engineering and science. Again, because I stripped those abilities away. I'm going more for the damage on this ship and not the tankiness, even though this is probably the highest hull you're ever going to see on a tactically inclined. I mean, you're never going to see an escort with that kind of hull. My shield capacity is not very high, and neither are my resist, 15%. But again, that's out of choice. I could boost it. I could put one of these on and increase my shield capacity. There are things I could do to increase the hull strength and shield capacity if I wanted, but I'm not doing it on purpose. My defense, when we go to impulse, this is why I wanted a high impulse speed, because my bonus defense is now 40% when I'm at impulse. So when I'm at full impulse there, I got 40%. So that's just increasing your speed that you move helps with that. Attack. I love this. Check this out, guys. I got a 40% bonus accuracy. All that accuracy stuff to increase accuracy. 40%. Wow. My crit chance is over 10%. I got an 11.2% critical chance, or that I'll get a critical hit. That's awesome. And then my critical severity, when it happens, when I get a critical hit, 92%. I've got almost a 100% crit severity. This is awesome, and this is what I wanted. I wanted that damage that I can do as a tactical officer, and with beam weapons, I need all I can get. So there it is. Movement, when I go to impulse here. My turn rate has now been buffed up to 10.5 degrees per second. Remember, 6 is the base, so I'm up at 10.5. So what does that mean for turning? Means I can turn this fast. Now, it's obviously not as fast as an escort, but it's probably the fastest you're going to get out of a cruiser. Well, you could get a little bit faster turn rate. But I'm also moving very fast because my engine speed is near 70. I'm moving very fast, at least for an Odyssey. For an Odyssey, I'm moving fast. Now, compared to an escort, it's slow. But compared to another Odyssey, it's fast. And as a tactical character, that's what I want. Fast turning, fast moving. And that's the best I'm going to do. That was the best I could get out of that. So it's something. And that, my friends, is my tactical Odyssey Cruiser. Not the best, mind you. Many changes I would make. I'm limited by what I have. But for right now, not terrible, I think. Not terrible. And when you see it in battle, you'll see that it's not terrible. It actually does a lot of damage as promised. It's built to do damage, and it does do that. However, it is just a tad more squishy than I would like it. And by squishy, I mean blowing up. Just a tad. And that's because I guess I'm so used to the engineering and science one that I have beefed up or buffed up so much for tankiness, and this one I stripped all those abilities away, and it feels just a little bit more like tissue paper to me, but still better than an escort. Alright, so the next step is that I'm going to go fly this in Taldewa. We're going to go do the 2 patrols in Taldewa. Let's just go there now. And we'll do those 2 that I usually do so you can see it in action. And then the next video will be the all Borg video. We'll do it in the 3 Borg STFs.
Jolan, security must be made. Security, thank you.
Start in and you will see what this thing can do. I will try to use its abilities to the best that I can. If you don't hear from me in the next 5 minutes, it's because I'm focused. But I'll try. Here we go. Launch my bees. Always got to have my bees. My bees got my back.
Need an assist?
No, actually I don't. The Enterprise has joined us, but I really don't need them. Hit my 2 things there. Look at that. I have... Okay, the Dare Dex is gone. I didn't even have tactical initiative on, or tactical fleet, and it was still, yeah, I'm killing them. Now, as you can see, my tankiness is not that good, but gosh, I'm killing them. This is fire on my mark. I need to remember to use that too. So many things to remember to use. I don't even need the Aquarius. I don't even need this chevron separation. I don't need that stuff. I'll just kill him good anyway. Ah, crap. Oh, I don't even have weapon system efficiency on. So many things I forgot to turn on, yet I'm still doing good. See what I mean? It's a little more glassy than I would like it. I've already killed three waves though.
Hull integrity below 50%. Hull integrity below 75%.
I like the fact that they've separated the science team and engineering team so that I can use them independently now.
Warning. Ship is under attack.
Scorpion fighters stand no chance.
Left shield failing.
Bam. How's that for a cruiser, my friends, firing beam weapons? That is sweet. Haha, not bad, huh? And that's why I went for damage. Now, as you can see, a little glassy. I was taking a lot of damage, and these aren't even the hard enemies. And my hull and shields were coming down. I think the elite fleet shields would probably fare a little better. Remember, the adapted Mako that I have is really geared for if you're going against the Borg, but it's not really geared for other enemies because it's only got that plasma resist. The elite fleet shield has all damage resistance, basically any damage type, and then it stacks that damage resistance. So I think the fleet shield would be better. It would do me a better job, but I'm not going to complain right now. I don't have it right now, so I'm just going to have to do without, because I don't have it. I'm not even going to call for the saucer separation. Well, let's get the Aquarius out. We'll do that one. I don't even need saucer separation.
Warning. Ship is under attack. Target shields have failed.
Whoa, they're gone fast. That was quick. The Aquarius is back there doing something, I'm hoping.
Target shields have failed. Target shields have failed.
You can see how fast I can move. Not with that engine speed up and that turn rate increased. Very nice. Next.
Target shields have failed. Target shields have failed.
Now that was fast. You gotta admit, that was fast for a cruiser. This is not an escort, it's a cruiser. And that was not bad. Not bad at all. Actually, let's go back in that system for a second and I'll conclude this video. So that way I can show you the stats of the weapons and everything that I'm at. Alright, so we gotta let that come back online, but actually I see that the enemy has respawned. Let's go back out, or let's get away from them. There we go. So let me show you my weapons. And you'll see what I mean by the DPS not being that high. Need to let everything reset. I'm just waiting for the counters to reset. So there we go. And this is a little concerning to me. The single beams, their DPS is only 836, so that's not very high. The dual beam is 1087, but the actual polaron damage is 1359. Then the polaron damage is over 1000 on the single beams. The experimental weapon, it has a high DPS but a low proton. Check that out, 1015 DPS but low proton damage. Crazy. But then the kinetic cutting beam, it's the opposite. It's got 1400 kinetic damage, 1100 DPS. That thing's really nice. So a little weird, but that's what I got. Now here's how increasing things can increase your DPS. The single beam, this is the worst one, 836. But if we do that and we do that, we can make it go up to 1432. 800 to 1400. That's huge. So that's why buffing up, correctly and all the stuff, makes a big difference. It really does. So that stuff's important. Weapon power, that'll help it too. 1482 there, 1483. So all that stuff combined can improve your damage even more. So that's why you always want to use that stuff. You always want to use your attack patterns, emergency power to weapons, or your weapon capacitor or whatever, because increasing weapon power and doing those other buffs from those other things there, like the attack patterns, that will increase your damage. So that's where I'm at, and that's my ship, my friends. I hope you all enjoyed that look at the Tactical Odyssey. This has been an introduction to the Tactical Odyssey. I think it's a good build. I think it could be better, but I think it's not terrible. And I'm actually having fun with it. I kind of like it. So drop me a comment. Let me know what you think of this build. Let me know what your builds are like. Let me know what you think of the Tactical Odyssey. Is it an odd ship? I tend to think so. It's an odd ship for a tactical character to fly. Because you're not exploiting the potential of a tactical character with it. You've got beams, which, as a tactical character, you want cannons. You're not flying an escort. You don't have cannons. You don't have a commander tactical bridge officer station, so you're not... It's just like the Science Odyssey. You are not reaching the potential of that career type with this ship. That's my opinion, and that's where I'm going to leave this video. The next video, we'll do all the Borg STFs. So thank you for watching, and stay tuned for the next one.